Hi guys, welcome to Mark Bajerski YouTube channel. I haven't had a shave. I've been working. Working and working. It's been a beautiful few days. A lot of amazing things have been happening here at the Pure Energy Healing Academy and also at markbajerski.com. Growing every day. I mean, here, look, just take a look. On the floor, take a look on the floor, look, everywhere, crystals. So I decided to start to put together, you probably remember, some of you if you've ever watched in the past, many years ago I was asked to buy a collection from a lady from Africa, and she spent most of her childhood picking these crystals in Africa with her father on a weekend. She had a massive collection, and I ended up buying them, and she offered them at a really good price, so I paid her more, and I thought it was only fair, not just because they were worth it, but because it just felt right, you know, they were worth more to me. I took these crystals and I've had them ever since. Throughout the years I've gifted a few, not really sold that many. They were always underneath my healing bed, and many people used to come, many healers used to come, and they used to say, is it okay if I go through the crystals? I said, yeah, go through them. And they'd spend hours, and they'd get a handful of, you know, ones that felt right to them. All beautiful crystals, but you know, the crystal chooses you, of course. And throughout the years, I continued my healing every day for many years, and these crystals were always under the bed in plastic tubs, big tubs. So the healing within these crystals is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Diopside, beautiful diopside. I mean, just look at this. I'll show you. So here you've got the stone, mother stone, and just look at how beautiful that is. I don't know if you can see it, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4 amethyst pointers on here. It's just exquisite. It really is beautiful. And a lot of these crystals are just so interesting, and you look at them and think they're not just like any old crystal tumble stone or whatever, but just so unique and so divine. Beautiful piece of amethyst. And yeah, so I decided I'm going to start putting them on markbajerski.com. People have been asking me for palm crystals because I used to gift lots of palm crystals and lots of room crystals and home crystals, you know, that they would be they'd just sit in a certain place in the house and they'd make a massive difference. I remember many people wanting to borrow an amount of crystals from me, and I used to gift maybe 20 or 30 crystals, and what they'd do is they'd put them into the home for a week, handle them, place them around the room, and then bring me them back and say, my God, the energy in the house has changed. So these crystals have been all over the place. They've been used, they've been worked with, and so they should. Worked with healers and with myself, and underneath my bed where thousands of hours have been put into these crystals. I mean, thousands of hours. Look at that. Look how beautiful that is. So you've got a beautiful quartz with what looks like black tourmaline. It's just incredible. And when you hold it and you feel that in your palm, the release of negative energy, the release of heaviness that throughout the day brings, It's incredible. Incredible. You can just feel it. Same with the amethyst. Just holding that brings, I'll tell you what it brings in a second when I feel it. So the back of my neck going up, halfway up to my head here, there is a release. Like, I never thought there was anything there, but I can feel a release now, and it makes sense. I've been doing some strenuous work today, lifting of boxes, bringing boxes up and down, of crystals. Right. You know, sometimes you just want to release and breathe out. This crystal releases, heightens your energy, feeling lighter now. Crystals are just simply amazing. I can't say enough about crystals, I really can't. Today's an interesting day. I want to talk to you about a certain topic, and this topic is going to be a little bit controversial, but hear me out, okay? Hear me out. As some people say, just hang on a little while and just listen to the story. Don't run away too soon. Many years ago, when I started the practice of healing, I started working with individual clients from around the world. I traveled a lot, but I actually really enjoyed working in my little room in Mijas Pueblo. I enjoyed it. There was some terrific energy in that room. Literally, you ask anybody who ever came, lives were changed. There was something really special about that room. And none to my surprise, was like I was more surprised than anybody what was happening in that room. And in fact, a lot of the times I used to sit by my tree on a night to heal naturally. I didn't even realize that that's what I was doing, but I was sat by a tree that I've made kind of famous now. It's in the village, and a lot of people come here just to sit by that tree. It's an old 300, 400, 500 year olive tree. And that's part of the story of Diary of an Accidental Psychic. That story is actually in that book about the tree. So people were coming to me from all over the world with many different illnesses, many different situations that, were slightly different. Nothing shocked me. I got to the stage where nothing shocked me, and I think the fact that I was in the energy of healing, you become non-judgmental. You can't be a healer and be judging. It's impossible. You've got to be non-judgmental, and you've got to step out of the way and allow whatever energy to come in. And energy comes in two different forms. It comes in healing through your body, or it comes in a message. So I would do the two things. I would do healing through my hands and my body, and then I would give a message. Some people used to come for a psychic reading, which is like just to sit down and listen, because I never allowed anybody to speak. You would come through the door. I didn't know your name apart from your first name. It was insisted on my website, never mention who you are, never mention anything about yourself. Don't tell me any troubles or any problems. Just come in, keep my mouth shut, and let me do the work. That's the only way I could work. If somebody started speaking, I'd say, you're ruining it. You're absolutely ruining this reading, because I can't go there now. So what you've just said, I can't actually tackle. So people learned to keep their mouth shut. And I would just read. Through the years, certain things started to happen that were, for me, more, I have to say interesting, because it is interesting, because it isn't normal. So the normal to me was people coming in that broke up from a relationship. They were absolutely devastated. Their partner may have died, or a family member, or an animal. Then certain people either lost their jobs, they didn't know where they are in life, what they want to do. A lot of people came with depression and so on, right? Kind of like the norm. It's the norm for me. But certain people came with a different story, a different energy, and a different being. I can say without a doubt, and I can say it with my hand on my heart, there were times that I was sat opposite somebody that just didn't feel like your average common person like you and I. Felt different. And you may think I'm talking about different, meaning that they're super intelligent, they're super special, lovely, kind. No, different. Very, very different. A different feeling that I've ever felt before. Now, I know the difference between psychopaths. I know the difference between people who are filled with evil, which I call darkness. Many different forms of words that you can use for that. But that was also part of my job, and I know the difference. And non-judgmental, you do your best, you do your bit, and you try and help everybody who comes. But certain people, only a few, were very different. Were they of human touch, feel? Yeah, they were. So when I was doing healing, if I was to touch them, they would feel flesh, skin, movements of face. But then they were different from the expressions of movements. Their energy vibrated at a different energy frequency. So when a healer starts to feel energy, they receive information through that energy, which then helps them to be able to heal the client in certain ways, where to go, what to do, how long to stay, what is that pain and where it's coming from. And when I was doing the readings, I would place my hands over their hands, not touching them, just feel their energy. Anybody who's ever been for a reading would know this. And I would feel their energy, meaning I would feel if they had a problem with their body, if there was something that may be manifesting in the body, that I might be able to say, hey, listen, I've got a funny feeling here that there's something wrong with your kidney, left kidney. And they go, my God, yeah, my left side's been killing. Okay, well, maybe we can look into that, or you can look into it and find out which is, because I was never like a doctor and telling people what to take, because that wasn't my work. My work was to spot things and then try and understand what that physical was and where it manifested from, and what was the manifestation. How did that manifest? And that would join hand in hand with modern day life. So it could be the food that you ate, it could be the partner that you were with, it could be your fear of your future, it could be anything. But your life, what you think, what you feel during the day, every single day, has an effect on the physical body. So I got to understand it, and I got to say, okay, there's a problem here, and I feel that it could be with your sister, because a sister was related to a certain energy of illness, and so on. Okay, so I got pretty good at it. And it wasn't like, oh, I was cocky or anything. No, I was really humbled. And actually, every time I did a reading, I was a little bit nervous, because I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to get things wrong. And I certainly don't want to say something for the sake of saying it. So, it was like, I don't feel anything. And at one time, I used to get so upset about that. And then then my clients used to say, why are you upset? I'm so happy you didn't feel anything. And I'd say, you're right. There's nothing wrong with you. You actually feel perfect, because there's nothing. Well, I feel perfect, Mark, and I'm eating healthy afterwards. They tell me, and so I feel great. So you've confirmed everything. So I got to understand that my fears were only a lack of trust in what I was doing. Eventually, I became stronger and stronger and realized that, you know what, you can only do your best. So just do your best. Like I said, going back to certain people who would come, it was just different. It was just so different. A lot of people ask me through the years, do you believe in other civilizations other than this world? Do you believe that there are other life on other planets? Do you believe that there is such thing as a different breed, an extraterrestrial? I don't like to use that, but let's say another form of body, but the spirit is within, which is the same spirit that we have. So is it possible, Mark, that before we leave the spirit world, we can manifest in certain places? because there's no such thing as space and time when you're in the spirit world. So could it be that another part of the galaxy or the cosmos, that there is a similar place to this, that maybe they breathe differently, maybe their technology is greater because they've lived longer, and so on, and a lesser of a world than this that is not as old as this, and maybe they're still learning to understand life, they're learning to plant seeds and one thing or another. So and I said, through my experience, all I can tell you is that over the years that I've done this, there has been certain times that I can honestly say that the person sat opposite me wasn't the same as you and I. They were different. They vibrated at a different energy. And it was very confusing for me. Very confusing. But very interesting. And I pondered over it a long time. My answer was yes, I believe that there is extraterrestrial life. It was said that in the 1950s, even 40s, but it was between 1940 and 50, that there was an alien craft that crashed on Earth, on this planet. And one of these extraterrestrials survived. When brought to a military base, the military employed psychics to communicate with this extraterrestrial. And it was successful. The communication, and one of the most important that I believe was real and true, was the question of, who are we? The extraterrestrial said, and it's documented, that we are spiritual beings that when we choose to come into this world, it is a form of trap, and that once we are here, our spirit is trapped here and we keep getting reborn. And that's really interesting. One thing that I pondered on and thought about for many years, 16 years ago, was what did the extraterrestrial mean by that? I come to understand over these years that it really isn't what you and I think it is, but there is some evidence that I am going to share with you now that to some extent the extraterrestrial was making sense, but in his thought process, his experience, what he saw within this world and how we work as spiritual beings in this suit, this body that we enter into while we're here. As time went on, I was asked to go to many properties around the world, mainly the Costa del Sol to start with, and then people heard about my work and said, listen, Mark, I've got a strange thing happening here. Could you come to this house? Could you come to this house? So I'd travel all over. And I was now going into homes trying to understand what this phenomena was, what this unusual energy is within the house, causing disruption, causing problems to the house, causing problems to the people in the house. Sometimes not so much of a problem. Sometimes actually some people really embraced this energy and didn't want it to go. I kind of sit here now and I can share this with you, knowing my experience and what happened through those years. And that what the extraterrestrial energy was talking about was an observation that humanity is controlled and manipulated because a few very devious and dark controllers, the handlers of this world, the ones who are the puppet masters, had been given information on a certain understanding that many don't know. There is, I would say, at most 5%, and I'm being really stretching here. I would say throughout this lifetime, 95% of beautiful souls like you and I come and go. So we come from our spirit world, we live an earthly life, pain, happiness, suffering, joy, all of those things, until we take the last breath in this suit, and then we move into the light. We normally move into the light with the help of family. So you would often, or I would often see, if I was in a house where somebody was ready to move into the light because they may have had cancer or of age and they were moving into the light, they would often point or say to me, Mark, my dad's here, my mum's here, my grandma's here. And I'd say, yeah, they've come to help you home. That was very normal. I saw that often. And I felt the family members coming. So I would say, as I was doing a healing, oh, I feel somebody here. And literally at the same time, they would be pointing, saying, yeah, they're behind you, they're there, I can see. And I'd say, good, I'm happy for you. I didn't see them, but they did. And I believed them, and I could feel something. And I said, oh, I feel somebody. And then I said, could it be your grandma? It is. She's behind you. Okay, cool. Cool. I love it. It was brilliant. It's like, this is amazing. And then they'd move into the light. The extraterrestrial was talking about something very interesting. You see, what I've come to understand is that there is a manipulation in this world that not only spreads fear, but it also spreads hate. It's called darkness. This is what we call it. It's the only word we can use, but it's very low negative energy and it's very addictive. That's why anger and hate it's contagious. You just need to get 10 people in a room and start one person screaming, the rest will scream. So it's kind of like, it's a really heavy and dark energy, very, very sinister. We can create it, but mainly it's created by either our parents because they've bought into the fear or the programming, or we watch mainstream media, or we hear other people talking because they've been brainwashed. You never seem to get that when you're with somebody enlightened and filled with love. In fact, hate disappears when you're around people with love. Just disappears because it's not that strong when you're with somebody filled with love. And anybody with fear next to somebody who's powerful in the sense of they don't hold on to fear and they help people understand, like I used to help people, then their anger and their hatred disappears. I used to read for mafia here on the Costa del Sol, and there's a lot of mafia here. Russian mafia, lots of gangsters, people that would terrify you. To me, it's a soul, it's a spirit. I'm not speaking to the muscles and the anger, I'm speaking to the spirit. And when you finish the reading, they melt and their life changes and they stop hurting people and doing bad things, a lot of them. So I got to the stage when I understood Every time I was going into a house, this 5% that I'm talking about, and what the extraterrestrial was talking about, was a trapped energy, the trapping of the spirit. And it's a trick, and it's a manipulation by the darkness. The more spirit trapped in between two worlds, the greater the fear of energy on this planet. The reason why is because trapped spirit is normally spirit in denial. And what I mean by that is spirit in denial is, imagine yourself about to open a door to a room, and in that room every single person knows every single thing about you. They have knowledge of every thought you have, every action you've created and made, every painful thing you've said, every maybe devious thing you ever did or thing that you wish you'd never done. Imagine you're about to open that door and everybody knows who you are, and they're going to look at you, or you think as you would, what are they going to say? What are they going to say? What are they going to do? Well, imagine yourself moving into the spirit world, and just before you go, the light comes, and now you have a feeling of a kind of self-judgment. Because what I've come to understand is there isn't a God who will judge you. And I know that upsets a lot of people, but this is my understanding, so please don't take that away from me. It's my understanding through my experience. And when I thought about that, I thought, well, who could actually judge you more than yourself? Who would be honest enough to judge you? Well, me really, because only me understands what I've done. So just before you open that door into the light, you have this feeling of, okay, now it's time to judge myself. Did I do right? Did I do wrong? What did I do? Could I have done better? Now imagine if you've done something terrible, or something terrible has happened to you. The fright energy of something terrible happening to you can actually hold you in between two worlds. That's another story, but it's true, because I have helped people into the right light when they've had horrific things happen to them, and when they've done horrific things to themselves, i.e. taking their life by hanging and other so more challenging, anyway, that's one thing. The other thing is, when you have actually done something so terrible to another human being, or you've done something that you're not proud of, at that moment when you move into the light, you turn away out of whatever it is, whether it's anger, whether it's bitterness, whether it's fear, whether it's pride, whether it's ego, whether it's whatever, you turn away. That one moment is the moment that you could walk through, but you don't enter into the light. This is just an expression, okay? It's not exactly a light comes on and you walk into it. It's an expression. That's the only way you can draw it. But it's a movement, a change of energy shifting into another veil, another world. So now you've rejected it through whatever way you want. You are now trapped in between two worlds. Neither can you be in this world, in your physical, because you've left that, but your spirit is of a heavy, dense energy, which is different from the spirit world. So it can't now go through into the spirit world because it's a different energy. It's more heavier, darker. When you move into the light, you become the light. But if you're in between two worlds, you become a dense energy. You still have memory of what you've done and been through. A lot of the times you can revisit the same energy every time. So it's like Groundhog Day. You keep doing the same thing. and there's no space and time, so you're not sat there thinking, oh, well, you know, what am I doing? What should I go back? It doesn't work like that. For some reason, you become trapped, and certain impulses are the same thing. That's why you can go into a house and I can sit there and, you know, the family can say, well, every night at 3 a.m, a girl will walk past or a man will walk past here, and I can sit there and feel it at that particular moment. The reason why is because it's a repeat energy all the time, and that's something to do with being trapped as well. So going back to the very interesting read of the 1950s and the extraterrestrial saying that this world is a world that traps you, so you keep coming back, I believe it wasn't referred to, and the attunement of the extraterrestrial is the only way he could pick up and understand what he was saying in the only way he could. What his knowledge of what my knowledge is different. So if I was sat with him and I attuned with this extraterrestrial, I would understand exactly what he was saying because I've experienced it and now I understand how it works. So in a sense, we can be trapped here because of those things. There's a lot more, but those are the major things that we reject the light. Why doesn't spirit help us into the light? Because ultimately, it is our spirit that has the choice and free will to go into the light. We cannot be dragged into the light. That's called free will. So, when I was asked to work alongside a very famous medium in England, and he wanted to do a TV show, a rerun of what he did many years ago, as a ghost hunter. When I sat and had a drink with him, I said, why have you never helped spirit back into the light when you do the shows? Why is it that you just want to talk to the spirit and, you know, why is it just entertainment? For me, that was heartbreaking. For me, it's like this spirit needs to release, heal, have a healing session, needs information, help, and to try and help them back into the light. And I said to him, to be honest with you, that's what I did. That was my life, my life's work. And I agreed at the time to work with him, but not to be on camera, but to be in the background, to actually, you know, create circles and help spirit move back into the light. Explain why they were still there. Try to explain to them, heal them and make them feel better and make them strong enough to face the light, go into the light and go back home. Was I successful? Not all the time. Did it work? Sometimes. What did I do when it didn't work? I used sage. Where does spirit go after you've saged? No idea. I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but I know it clears the energy and spirit moves elsewhere. Whether they go somewhere else, no idea, but they don't come back to that room. It's that house, it's gone once you've saged properly. How did I know when spirit leaves? Because I didn't use sage. I sat and meditated and felt their energy, spoke to them and did a reading for them. Basically, it was like a reading. I'd literally sit my cards down, attune into them, who they were, what they did in their life, and explain why these things happen. And then they felt better, and then the light came, and then they went back into the light. It was almost like spirit guided me to that place to help that person go into the light. So they're always encouraged to go to the light. But as a person standing back, looking at this world and knowing and feeling more than what we do, so I gather an extraterrestrial will have more feelings and they work on the psychic level, which means that they're attuned to higher senses. They can see more and feel more. Therefore, it makes sense for an extraterrestrial to say that this world is a world that traps you. And I believe a lot of people make a mistake, and I could be wrong, they could be right. But they say that when you go into the light, it's a trap and you come back again. No, when you go into the light, you choose to whether you want to come back or not. So I can be reading for certain people and they're asking if their father is here, and I'll say, I don't feel anything. And then I realize that maybe sometimes we come back again. And sometimes we can come back very quickly, and sometimes in our world we call it time, which really there isn't such thing. But spirit comes back at certain times to relive and grow and experience different scenarios and feelings and experiences. So to end this conversation, which is a little bit deeper, and I guess a lot of you would think I'm a little bit of a crackpot, but you know what? I'd say stick any lie detector on me and I'd say the same thing. I've got nothing to hide. I've got nothing to prove. I don't care whether you believe me or not. That's my experience. And that's what I know to be real. That's why I'm not frightened of death. That's why you can't send fear into me. You can't, hey, hello, you can't program me, because I know where my home is and I know what it feels like. And this ain't home. This feels like hell sometimes. I know where my home is. I'm happy to go whenever. And I know full well that when it's my moment, I will embrace that light. That light of love and healing of my home, that I will be able to take my breath once again and feel the peace, the amazing energy that cannot be written or spoke of. But it is the most beautiful energy that people try and attune to, called nirvana. The Buddha tried to get there. Many people, many Buddhists, many different forms of religious souls who try to meditate to get to that beautiful energy where everything is peace. Well, if you times that by 100, then you'll know what your home is like. So I hope that answers some of your questions to whether you believe this world is a world of entrapment and that we're all on a loop, that it's Groundhog Day. I hope I've explained in the only way I know, through my experience and through my clients and through the years that I've really put my heart and soul into trying to understand that there is more to life than eating, drinking, sleeping and working, and that there is a place one can go when you are of balance, when you work towards health, when you try your best to get into the happiness mode, when you clear the fear from your life, when you stop looking at the television and throw it away, when you stop buying into the fear that our politicians and those that basically pull their strings are always repeating. If it isn't one virus, it's another. If it isn't a chicken, it's a bat. If it's not a bat, it's Ebola. If it's not Ebola, it's another one. It's another one. It's another one. And it's clear to see that the darkness wants you and I to turn away from the light when it's our moment. Because the darkness knows the more people trapped in between two worlds and who are in denial of moving into the light brings a much heavier energy to this world, and it's harder to raise that vibration. And when there are many people trapped in between two worlds, that energy makes it very difficult for you to feel the connection of your brothers and sisters. But it is very easy to feel anger. It's very easy to feel fear. It's very easy to feel unbalanced, because what's in that house and given off in energy is equally as powerful as light and love, but it's in a way that is more manipulating and darker and clears away the clarity that we're meant to see, we're meant to attune, we're meant to have a psychic connection. We're meant to have telepathy with each other. But if we have a lot of trapped energy, trapped spirit, it's hard to communicate. That's why if you create a room with a great ambience and a powerful energy and you clear the darkness and the negative energy in that room, you can create a miracle. If anybody did the little circle that we did a few weeks ago, which was to help people raise their vibration and bring the warrior within, I asked you to create a circle. I said, put a circle and just listen to my words and go with them. And it was like a ritual to help you grow stronger. And the word ritual can be very beautiful. It's been hijacked by the satanic world, but you know what? It is a beautiful thing if you create a circle with love. And we did it, and nearly 5,000 people have watched that video, and I received literally hundreds of messages saying that your life has changed. Why? Because you created good energy in the home. By creating good energy, you can connect. You can feel spirit. You can feel your friends. You can feel your brothers and sisters. You can feel the spirit next to you. My spirit feels your spirit. So it's all about working on yourself. 2020 now is all about working on yourself. It's about letting go of the fear. It's about growing stronger than the fear and putting the work in to yourself. It's about self-work now. That's what it's all about. Yes, it's good to point out what you see when you start to grow. Nothing wrong with pointing out and saying, I don't believe that what's happening in this world is for our good. I believe that there's a manipulation, that there is darkness there trying to suppress mankind, trying to strangle us, and the darkness is trying to win and trying to stop our freedom. Yes, there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you don't do it with anger, because you just feed the anger and then you feed the system, which then grows stronger. So you have to call it out, but not in a way that you end up in that same energy. But it's vital right now that you eat healthy. I am not a pusher for anything, but you know what, guys? If you give yourself a little bit of time without eating animals, and if you give yourself a little bit of time, it doesn't matter, a week, even a week, just give yourself 1 week without eating animals, okay? Give yourself a week without eating dairy. Give yourself a week without drinking water, which is contained with fluoride. Give yourself a week eating fruit and vegetables, which are organic. Give yourself a week by clearing your system, your stomach, clearing your energy, working on meditating, working on self-healing, working with crystals, working with oils, working with natural things, taking juices, drinking ginger, turmeric, all the healthy benefits of what Mother Nature offers. For 1 week, you will detoxify your body and you will feel different, and your energy will raise minimum of 17 to 20% within that 1 week. You will feel, and this is the key, because feeling, if you measure feeling, you're worth $1 million if your feeling becomes more positive by 20%. That you can't value that to money. So if you feel 20% better in 1 week after leaving the meat alone, after leaving all the non-food alone, and working on maybe trying to just drink juices and eat raw vegetables and eat plenty of nuts if you can, and just give yourself time to throw the TV away, stop listening to anything negative, and just work on yourself for 1 week. Go into Mother Nature. In that 1 week, if I'm right, and you feel 20% better, and I don't get my stomach ache's gone, or my headache's gone, or I've been drinking natural water and I feel stronger, I feel more, my God, I've got like my health back and I feel more energetic. That's worth £1 million. That's worth £1 billion, because if you're 20% healthier, it means that your length of life is going to be longer and more joyful. It means that you're going to be able to share your love with people more. You've got more energy to share your love. You're 20% more with others. 20% more of healing your body from your past pain and suffering. All of the things that your mum and dad should and shouldn't have done start to heal. You forgive people. You grow stronger. Thus, your immune system becomes stronger. Once your immune system starts to work correctly, because you're flushing the toxins out of your body and the meats and the poisons and all the stuff that was just shoved in your mouth, when they're detoxing and it's coming out of you, you start to connect to a new sense. It opens up more sense. You think you've got like these 7 senses. Some people think we've got 8, 9. I think we've got thousands of senses that the world doesn't talk about, that the darkness doesn't want you to know. And I know my senses are more than 7 or 8 or 9. I feel more. I sense more. And I know it's because I've worked on myself. I hope today you've enjoyed this conversation. I'm sorry I haven't spoken to you for a few days, but I've been really busy on crystals, and I've been really working hard at putting energy into them, as well as putting them on my website. We've been gifting crystals all over the world to children, and that really is something that I wanted to do. And I keep doing it every day. So if you do know a child who's in a bad place, go to info@markbajerski.com, write their name and their address, and we will work through the list and do our best to send that child a crystal, because a crystal can change a child's life by introducing a new sense by the touch of a crystal that makes the child stronger and heal and become the most beautiful, powerful soul than you could ever imagine. That's how a crystal can actually work. It worked for me, and I'm sure it can work for them. Have a beautiful day, guys. Thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this little chat. I hope I haven't offended or upset anybody. I know I shouldn't, and I shouldn't need to do it, but I don't want to offend anybody. If you've got a religion, if you've got a belief system and you think, oh, I've offended you, I never mean to offend anybody. What I do is I share my truth, not to defend, not to attack, not to prove a point, but to just give you an alternative view of what I've experienced in my life. I don't want you to believe it. I just want you to know that there are people who have experienced different things in life than just being a Catholic or a Muslim or a Jew, whatever your religion is. My religion was Catholic, and then I went to a Mormon church, and then I learned different religions from many different people. I decided that my religion was inside my heart. I believed my temple was here, and I believed that every kind act that I did was my commandments. And every bad thing I did was something that I needed to grow from and forgive myself and forgive the people who attacked me or I did them when I was younger, whatever happened. And that's kind of like my belief system, to be a good person and know that my senses, my understanding, my wisdom, my spirit knows right from wrong. And I don't need commandments or scrolls to tell me how to behave. I know that in myself. Thus, I share a message with people is limiting yourself to a belief system will only keep you at that level. So you can't go any higher. If you take away your belief system, you're able to fly and experience everything and come to your own decision to what feels right. There is nothing wrong with religion, by the way. I have no issue with it. But I do have an issue with people who Bible bash and who attack you. That's wrong. That's, in my eyes, that's not real. That's not godly. I can't imagine if your God is watching and you're beating people because they don't believe in what you believe in. I can't imagine he would like that. Thus, we judge not. We do our best, we share our truth, and that's as much as we can do. So have a beautiful day, guys. I'm going to crack on with work now. And until maybe tomorrow or the next day, have a beautiful day. Thank you for going to markbajerski.com and purchasing your genuine spiritual and healing tools that I've used for 16 years. I hope they work for you as much as they work for me every day. And I hope you like the crystals as much as I love working with them. Have a beautiful day, guys. Love you all. Take care.